What is up, guys? Welcome back to the CrownHoops Podcast. We are on to episode number 31 now. My name is Daly. With me, I have Mike White and Ben Okazawa. Say what's up, guys.
What's going on, people?
What's up, guys?
I'm sure you guys noticed Stacy's not here with us right now. He's going to be taking a little bit of a break from the podcast and I think everything with sports writing in general. So can't wait to have him back. But until then, the show must go on. So today is trade deadline day for the NBA. It's long past at this point. We're recording it. I think it's 11 p.m. right now. And trade deadline closed at 3. So kind of wanted to talk with you guys and go over some of the major trades that happened in the past few hours. And we'll go from there. But to start it off, Woj kind of started this whole trade deadline day mania. Was it yesterday this major trade happened?
The 4-team blockbuster.
Yeah, the 4-team blockbuster didn't happen technically on deadline day, but we still consider it part of the deadline trades. It was 4-team blockbuster with the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, the Hawks, and the Rockets, which eventually got fused into kind of a 5-team trade with Memphis in a little bit. But basically, to sum it up, the Nuggets got Shabazz Napier, Bates Diop, Gerald Green, Noah Vonleh, and Houston's first-round pick. The Timberwolves got Malik Beasley, Juan Hernangomez, Jared Vanderbilt, Evan Turner, a Houston first-round pick, which was via Brooklyn. And something on that, the Timberwolves now only have 2 players left on their roster for longer than a season, which is kind of reminded me of the Celtics a few years ago, which we were talking about earlier. Crazy to think that they've kind of completely rebuilt this team. The Hawks, which is kind of the major story here, ended up getting Clint Capella and Nene. And the Rockets got Robert Covington and Jordan Bell, who was eventually traded to Memphis for Caboclo. I don't really know how to pronounce his name. Is it Caboclo?
Bruno Caboclo.
Bruno Caboclo. There we go.
He is 2 years away from being the next KD.
2 years.
Is what they said when we drafted him in 2015.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know. Yikes. Yeah. How about that? Let's kind of talk about the trade. Obviously, that was a lot of information to take in, but the big parts is that the Hawks got Capella and didn't really give up much for it. Timberwolves got some good players in Malik Beasley, Hernangomez. Evan Turner's probably going to get bought out, so I don't see much of anything there. Nuggets, I don't really get that part of it for them. And then obviously the Rockets got no return for Capella. But yeah, Mike, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on that whole trade?
A big trade, a lot of moving parts. I'm going to start with the most obvious one, the Rockets losing Capella, getting pretty much just Covington back. I mean, don't get it twisted. I love Covington. He's a 3-and-D player. I think he made all defensive first team, 2 years ago. So they get a solid role player, someone who can fit right in that system. He puts up a lot of threes and shoots them at a high clip. But you lost your big man. I mean, all you have left is Tyson Chandler, I believe. And, he's not really playing any starters type minutes these days. So now you have a glaring hole in your offense. Now, they said they're going to go small. They said they're clearing the path. So Russell Westbrook and James Harden can have open lanes to the basket. But when you're a team out in the Western Conference and you have to go against the Denver Nuggets with Jokic in the middle, and you got the Lakers with all Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, and then if you hope to make the finals, you're going to have to take down maybe the Bucks, maybe the Sixers. Everybody has somebody in the paint. So a little puzzling. I understand they wanted to get off that contract, but I feel like they should have got a center and maybe a wing player back. As far as the Hawks getting Capella, I think that's a great move for them. The Hawks are clearly trying to build up that team around Trae Young and Jonathan Collins. They needed a big man who could really to protect the basket. Capella is, I think, 14-14 right now on the season, even though he's been hurt. So they're starting to build that team around Trae Young. Clearly, they think they have somebody who, can take them into the playoffs and they can build around them. As far as the other pieces of that trade, Evan Turner to the Timberwolves and with Jared Vanderbilt, These are all minuscule role players to me. I don't take too much in it. I think they kind of just got moved because of the money wise to make everything work. Um, I like Hernan Gomez and I like Malik Beasley. Those two have been getting buckets for the Nuggets for a while, so I like them on the Timberwolves. They're also building a new type of team, and we'll get into the trade that also happened with them later. But I mean, pretty much everybody else are just pretty much role players, so I don't put too much stock in it. But weird move by the Rockets. We're gonna see if it works out for them.
Yeah, and that was gonna be my next question to you. Is obviously Rockets gave up that huge piece in Capella. Do you think they got a good amount of value back for him?
No, I don't. I like Covington. He's a great player. He's gonna be good for them. He's the guy that you're gonna put on LeBron and you're gonna put on Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs. But at the same time, you lost, almost. I think he's 7 foot. You lost a 7-footer. You're not gonna regain that. I think there was like some stat out there. They're playing like one of the shortest starting lineups in who knows how long over a certain amount of years. But everybody's like 6'6" and under. Ultimately, you trade Capella. You get some cap relief, but all you take in is Covington and no one to take his spot. I think you lost that trade.
Ben, what about you? What are your thoughts on this whole massive 4-team trade and pretty much more specifically the Hawks and the Rockets being the biggest pieces of that?
All right, yeah, no doubt. So, well, I'm going to start with, I guess, I'll touch on the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. Kind of puzzling for the Nuggets for me. Not sure where they were going with this. They get Shabazz Napier, who's kind of an older role player at this point. They get Keita Bates-Diop. He's a rookie. He has some upside, I guess. Gerald Green, not sure what they were thinking there. Noah Vonleh, we'll see. And then the first, which probably won't be a very high pick, considering it's Houston's. And then the Timberwolves. It's interesting for the Timberwolves. Like Mike was saying, I like Malik Beasley. I like Hernan Gomez. And obviously they get the first round pick via Brooklyn. So we'll see where they go with this. Beasley and Hernan Gomez, though, are in the last year of their contracts, both of them. So we'll see if they are just a rental for this year or if they're planning on signing them back. But both those guys definitely showed some promise during their time with the Nuggets. So we'll see what happens there. It could definitely turn out well for the Timberwolves. And then as far as the Hawks, I think it was a good move. Capella is, Trae Young's been looking for help. He's been putting up 40-point nights regularly. And when John Collins was suspended for the PED thing, he was getting zero help. They were losing 7 straight, and he was just balling. So I understand him being frustrated. Then John Collins come back. He's getting a little bit of help. And now with Capella there, it should be an interesting team. Capella's still young. John Collins is super young. Trae Young is obviously second-year guy. So, and I think, they have a good young core. We just mentioned this on a pod a few weeks ago about how they have one of the better young cores in the league. So, it's going to be exciting to watch them in the next few seasons. I'm not sure if they're going to be a great playoff team or not, but it's definitely going to be, in my mind, an exciting team to watch for sure. And I don't know. I have no clue what the Rockets were doing. James Harden took the tip tonight. He's 6'5". PJ Tucker's playing center. He's 6'5". He's going to be banging down low with 7-footers. They're playing the Lakers tonight. He's going to be matched up with Anthony Davis for probably 20 to 30 minutes. I feel really sorry for him because he's got to be, 7-footer guarding a 7-footer. You don't have to put in as much effort as if you're 6'5" and you're guarding Anthony Davis, who's 7'1", 7 foot and long. So he's going to be bumping and grinding all night long. He's going to get worn out really quick. So listen, we're going to talk about winners and losers later. Big loser, PJ Tucker. I'll just say that right off the jump. So I think the Rockets, maybe they buy out a center. I'm not sure what they're going to do, pick up a free agent center. But they have no size now. And even Jordan Bell could have played center for them. They traded him away for Caboclo, who I don't see doing anything with them. So kind of confused as to what the Rockets were doing here, but Covington is a good wing piece for sure. But now they're pretty much center size deficient. So it's going to be tough for them going forward, especially in the playoffs when they're seeing 7-footers, 7-game series with 6'5" guys on them. So
Yeah, I mean, something you were talking about earlier. I mean, James Harden took the tip off for the Rockets tonight. And the Rockets are kind of a laughingstock on Twitter right now. Like all the memes going around and the edited videos. And the amount of times I've seen Mike's go-to statement, who's going to guard AD, who's going to stop AD. Mike, as a Lakers fan, you must be loving this.
Hey, look, man. They want to lose their big man. That's all right. I was never really worried about the Rockets. I'm going to be honest with you.
Mike's sitting pretty with his Lakers squad right now.
Hey, we're good right now, man. I'm worried about that other LA team.
Yeah, let's talk about that trade later, though.
Yeah.
But the next trade I wanted to talk about.
To be fair, just quickly, Houston is winning by 5 points heading into the half.
Hey,
So maybe they did something right. Who knows?
Hey, the Celtics make small ball work. Just saying.
That's true.
But yeah, the next trade also involving Memphis and Miami this time. Miami got Iguodala. They finally freed him. Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill, while Memphis got Dion Waiters, Justice Winslow, and James Johnson, who has since gone to Minnesota for Georgie Deng. That trade, specifically for Memphis, was a long time coming. Everyone kind of knew Iguodala was going to get moved because he had already threatened to sit out the rest of the season. So it wasn't really a surprise to see Iguodala move. What was surprising for me, at least, was that they threw Crowder in there. In my opinion, Crowder really fit in well with Memphis and the whole grit and grind mentality. But yeah, I'll kind of pass it off to you guys, hear you guys talk it out. But I want to start with you this time. What's your thought on that trade and who kind of won that trade there?
Memphis obliterated them. Memphis is the clear winner in this trade. You get, Dion Waiters, not really sure if he's going to be in the mindset to play, but if he does play, he can be a good player. James Johnson, obviously they shipped him off to Minnesota for Georgie Deng, who, adds a little more size for them. He was starting center in Minnesota for a long time. So he could be a good bench piece behind Jonas Valanciunas for them. And Justice Winslow is a great young player, in my opinion. I've been watching him ever since he was playing college, and I think Memphis is going to be pretty exciting to watch this postseason. I love just watching young teams go for that upset. Kind of taking me back to when Memphis took out the 1 seed as the 8 seed back in I think it was 2011. So we'll see. I think they have a good chance to get that 8-7 seed and push a team a little bit in the playoffs. So it'll be exciting to see what happens with them. They've got Dylan Brooks, who's been balling out of his mind lately. Mississauga native, shout out to him. They've got Jaren Jackson Jr. Obviously, John Morant's been having a great rookie season, indisputable rookie of the year in my opinion. You've got Jonas Valanciunas, Brandon Clark, all guys, contributing solid minutes for the Grizzlies. And now Justice Winslow, regardless of, who else was involved in that trade, I think it's going to be a really good piece for them moving forward. And especially in the years to come, man, Memphis is going to be a team to watch. And then as far as Miami, you lose Justice Winslow, which hurts. He's a good young player. But they're in kind of more of a win-now mindset, and Iggy adds a lot to a playoff team. They see what he can do. He can knock down his threes. He can play great defense, one of the best defenders, wing defenders in the league, especially. He kind of locks in come playoff time. Get Jay Crowder, who's also, a solid wing piece. And then Solomon Hill's on a bit of a crazy contract, but he can play basketball. We'll see if they actually do anything with him or not. But I think this wasn't necessarily a loss for Miami because they're kind of set moving into the playoffs. They've got a good roster, and if they get good contribution out of Iguodala and Jay Crowder, They're sitting pretty come playoff time, so it's not necessarily a loss for Miami, but I think Memphis won this trade.
Yeah, so Bleacher Report, I believe, was saying that Dion Waiters is going to get bought out and enter the buyout market.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I saw that. And as for Miami, and I'm going to ask both of you this, but I'll start with you this time, Ben. Everyone's now saying, like, Miami's a contender, like, oh, don't sleep on Miami, like, they're legit. Personally, I don't see it at all. I don't. Jimmy Butler's good and all, but, like, he's not bringing that team that deep into the playoffs. I don't see it. Do you?
Second round ceiling.
I can respect that. People on Twitter wilding out about them.
I think if Miami gets matched up with any of Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, Toronto, even Indiana, we'll see what happens with Oladipo, how he starts playing, later towards playoff season. They're going to have a tough time winning a 7-game series. Milwaukee, it's hard to tell because they've choked from time to time. They're like the 2014-15 to 2017-18 Raptors, where they're consistently getting those top couple seeds, but they can't do anything come playoff time. So me personally, even I'm not convinced that Milwaukee's coming out of the East. But as far as Miami goes, second round ceiling, because they're gonna have to match up with one of like Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Boston, Toronto come second round. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not scared.
Okay, Mike, what about you? What are your thoughts on this trade? And kind of same question to you is, what's Miami's ceiling this year?
Well, first, initially talking about the trade, I'm gonna go opposite. I'm gonna say Miami won the trade. I know Memphis did get Justice Winslow. He's a nice young piece, but he needs the ball in his hands, and you have Jimmy Butler now. Like you said, they're about to buy out Dion Waiters. They got rid of James Johnson, brought in Gorgie Jang. He's okay. I mean, yeah, they got some good players, and they stayed young, and they got salary cap relief, which is good. I'm not saying that it was a bad trade for them, but I think Miami improved a lot. They got Andre Iguodala to prepare for the playoffs. The Heat are obviously a surprise team this year, so they think they have a chance with Jimmy Butler, and they have a nice roster, and they got young guys who don't seem to be afraid of the moment. But then again, this is also regular season, so we'll wait and see what they do in the playoffs. But adding a guy like Iggy, that helps your team no matter what. Adding a guy like Jay Crowder, another guy who can defend out on the perimeter and knock down a three-point shot. I mean, now Jimmy Butler doesn't always have to guard the best player, and you can save him for those moments in the playoffs, which we seen even last year with the Sixers. He was a go-to player for them in the playoffs. He hits big shots, he hit game winners. So I like that trade for them. I think that'll help them in the long run, help them in the playoffs. As far as their ceiling, I still don't see them better than the Milwaukees, the Bostons. I put them like Toronto. I kind of put them on. It's close right now. I don't want to say they're better than Toronto right now because Toronto has chemistry. They're still coming off a championship. You got to knock the champion out before you can crown somebody else. So I'm going to put them like just a hair under them, but I think they could beat the Pacers. I think they got Bam Adebayo in the middle. I think did he make the All-Star team?
He did.
Yeah.
For All-Star, he's been great defensively. He's took a big jump. You've got Dragic coming off the bench. I mean, the Heat are a lot better than people think. Shout out to my brother. I told him they wouldn't make the finals, but hey, you never know. They got a good shot. Would I put them in the finals right now? No, I think second round right now, if I had to pick, is their ceiling. But we'll see how the seeding ends up being.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I have them a little bit below the Pacers at this point. But do you think it's a mistake to be making all these trades? Obviously, they're taking in a ton of cap right now. Mm-hmm. They're taking in a lot of money. Do you think that's a mistake moving forward?
I don't think it's a mistake moving forward because of where they're at. They're in a win-now mode. When you sign Jimmy Butler to a max deal and he's how old? Already 30, 31? You're trying to win now. When you go out and trade for Andre Iguodala and give him a 3-year, $30 million extension, and you're Pat Riley and you're the Miami Heat, this is what you do. You go out, you get the players that's going to win. Money's not really a thing. So the Heat have never really rebuilt since LeBron left. They kind of retooled. If they could make the playoffs, they would try to. I think they snuck in a couple times at the 8th seed and the 7th seed. So they've never really been trying to rebuild. They just wanted to retool, which I think they did. So I don't think it's a mistake just for that franchise and what they're doing.
My biggest concern comes with the money. I mean, Jay Crowder, I think he's still on his contract that he signed in Boston. I think it was like 5-year, $35 million with like a $7.8 million cap hit every year. Mm-hmm. I'm concerned for them, especially with the loaded free agency coming into this year and next year. I think they may be hurting. I think they're gonna look back on this trade and possibly regret it. But that's my opinion. And something I wanted to wait and ask you guys until after we got through this trade is, obviously we're talking about how Memphis has a very, very good young core. And at that last trade, we were talking about how the Hawks also have a very, very good young core. Who do you think is built better for the future, the Grizzlies or the Hawks? And we'll start with you this time, Ben.
I'll take the Grizzlies. As far as the Hawks, Trae Young is very, very nice. John Collins is very, very nice. Capella's a solid center. And we'll see about the development of guys like Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, guys like that. But right now, the Grizzlies rookies have major roles, and they're providing. Brandon Clark is a rookie. He's playing really, really well. Ja Morant is a rookie, indisputable rookie of the year. He's playing very, very well. He's already the leader of that team at 20, however many years old. And then they've got now Justice Winslow. They've got Jaren Jackson Jr. To me, Memphis is better set for the future, but just because their guys are already showing what they can do, and at this point, a lot of the Hawks guys, all you can see is upside, and you're not seeing a lot of production. As far as Memphis goes, a lot of those guys, you're seeing production now that could be turned into even more production in coming years, seeing as they're also young.
All right, Mike, what about you?
I think that was a key word that Ben said, upside. Like when I look at the Hawks and you see they have like Kevin Huerter, knock down a 3-point shot, long, lanky, you play defense. Cam Reddish, he's supposed to come out and be this prolific shooter, scorer. They're just not there yet. Now, they do have the all-star. Trae Young is the best player from the two teams, I would say, right this second. But I'm still going to go with Memphis because, Ja, that boy nice. Let's just call it what it is. That boy Ja Morant is nice. I like his attitude, his approach to the game. I'm going to take Memphis also because when you think about it, I know the Hawks have had some injuries here and there, but they're in the Eastern Conference. They have an all-star, and they're at the bottom of the standings. Over here in the Western Conference, these rookies and these young players, even guys like Dylan Brooks, young guys, these guys are getting it done in the Western Conference, is currently sitting in a playoff spot. So right now I'm going to go with the Grizzlies, but like Ben said, the talent over there on the Hawks, though, great ups. If it all pans out, I could change my answer. But if you had to ask me right now, take the Grizzlies.
I mean, it's definitely a close call, but I'm gonna disagree with both of you guys here. I'm gonna go Atlanta. I really like Trae Young. I really like John Collins, and now that they're paired up with Clint Capella, I think we're gonna see something special. And obviously, this year they've been dealing with injuries, suspensions. I think it's too late for them this year, but in the coming years. And they're going to have a great draft pick this year. Do they own their first-round pick this year, right?
I think so. I don't think they were traded the first.
They're going to get another good pick through that. I'm feeling good about the Hawks moving into it. I mean, Memphis doesn't have their pick this year. I don't believe they have their pick next year either. Boston owns it this year. Moving forward, I'm going to go with the Hawks. I think they're better set. And like you guys have been saying, potential. Kevin Huerter, like Mike was saying, he's a great shooter. I got to go Atlanta here. And I'm really big on Trae Young. I don't even think he's close to his potential yet. I think he's gonna blow through it. But at the same time, Ja Morant's also a great player too. The things he's been doing this year, and like you said, Ben, like undisputable rookie of the year. There's no debating that whatsoever. But still, and I like Jaren Jackson Jr. too. I just really like the way both of them pair. Like I like how Ja has the power forward and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Trae has the power forward and John Collins. it's tough, but I like Atlanta a little bit more. But continuing with the trades that happened today, probably the biggest one of today, Warriors and the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves got D'Angelo Russell, Omari Spellman, and Jacob Evans. And the Golden State Warriors got Andrew Wiggins, a 2021 first-round pick, and a 2021 second-round pick. To me, I was honestly pretty surprised by this trade. I thought D'Lo would at least grind it out with the Warriors for the year, and I think they kind of got a bigger return in the offseason. But I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Mike, we're going to start with you this time.
So I was surprised too. I thought they would hold on to D'Lo to the offseason, see where their draft pick lies, maybe kind of combine them and then move it out. But I mean, they pulled the plug. For the Golden State side of thing, getting Andrew Wiggins, I mean, it was like we were saying before we started recording when I was talking. Can he be a better version of Harrison Barnes from the first year of, Golden State really getting to the finals? Maybe. Yes, he should be able to do that. But obviously, it's some things that Andrew Wiggins is going to have to change about his play style when you come and play for a championship team like the Golden State Warriors. Because once everybody's healthy, they're not going to be wanting to see all that fading away in the mid-range, taking 2-on-1s by yourself. It's all about ball movement, getting the ball to the right guys. Now, I will say this. Andrew Wiggins still gets buckets in his own way. He still gets buckets. I think he's probably averaging 20-plus right now. I don't even know without looking. But I'm just saying that with a floor spread out with Steph and Clay out there, he's going to have some opportunities to really get to the basket and do what he does best, which is a slasher, get to the bucket quick. I think he can work out with them. I think when he gets to the team, play the rest of this season, learn the way they like to play. Obviously, it's going to be hard because they're not there yet, but already kind of getting that mindset. But taking on that much money, though, for Andrew Wiggins, it's a risk. But, I mean, same kind of conversation we had about the Heat. You're in win now mode. Everybody's, you've paid everybody. Steph Curry's paid up. Klay Thompson's paid. You just trying to bring in guys who you think is going to help you win. So it's interesting. I don't know if they're going to keep him long term. I just really don't know their vision for him. But like I said, if he can be a better version of Harrison Barnes, I think it's worth it, at least to a certain extent, because you're not going to be asking him to do the heavy lifting like in Minnesota where he was the number 2. In this case, he might be the third option at best. But on the Minnesota side of things, getting D'Angelo Russell, I mean, I like it. Everybody talks their crap about Russell Westbrook and James Harden, but their chemistry has actually been good this year. They've been able to hold each other accountable. So D'Angelo Russell going to Minnesota to play with his boy Cat, it might work. The chemistry might work. He's a point guard. He's a power forward / center. They can run pick and roll. They both can knock down jumpers. D'Lo can get high. And we talked about earlier how Minnesota has added a new slew of role players. They've added Malik Beasley and they've added Hernan Gomez. So those are 2 guys who can get their own shots and knock down 3-pointers. So it's interesting. Do I see the Timberwolves making a push for the AC this year? They could. I mean, they could. The bottom of the West is pretty crap, honestly. Some of these teams are barely over 500. So maybe we'll see how they mesh, how Cat and D'Lo do together. But if I had to pick one who probably won this trade, I'm gonna go the Minnesota Timberwolves for right now, just because of the contract Wiggins is on.
I mean, do you think Golden State got a fair value for D'Lo?
I would say no. I don't think so. I mean, the money-wise would tell you they got to steal, but production-wise and what we've seen from Andrew Wiggins and how his career has progressed and how we've watched D'Lo kind of go on the rise, I mean, I would say no. I think if you would have waited, paired D'Lo with that first-round pick, I mean, who knows who you could have brought in. That's definitely a top 5 pick. I think they could have got something better. They should have waited. I don't know what made them pull the plug so early, honestly.
I'm surprised too. It's not like they're in a win now situation this year. Obviously, they're in a win now situation like over the next 2-3 years, but this year, there's zero chance. Absolutely zero chance. So I don't understand why they didn't wait. You pair D'Lo in that first round pick. We're talking superstar caliber.
At least all-star.
Exactly.
At least all-star.
Andrew Wiggins does not check off any of those boxes. While I think he's a good fit, as in they needed someone to play that position, sure. But he's not helping that team long term, in my opinion. I mean, Andrew Wiggins coming out of the draft had so much hype, and he's been traded time and time again, and I don't know. I don't see it. Ben, what are your thoughts on this trade?
It's kind of interesting from the Warriors' perspective because I feel like they might be looking at Andrew Wiggins as kind of a project, I guess. Like, I feel like they think that in their system, he can be all that he was supposed to be when he was at Huntington Prep in high school, when he was at Kansas in college. If he fits into that mold of what they want him to be, then I think it's going to be good for both of them. It's going to revive his career, and it's going to, be really good for the Warriors moving forward, putting him. It was kind of tough with, you got three guards in D'Lo, Clay, and Steph. You got three all-star guards there. But Andrew Wiggins can play anywhere from like 2 to 4. And if they get him to where they want him to be as a team player, and like Mike said, not doing stupid things on offense, but just getting to the bucket and finishing strong and taking smart shots, then I think he could be pretty good for them moving forward. As far as the Timberwolves, I disagree in that I don't think they're going to make a playoff push. I don't think they're going to come close because right now they're 10.5 games out of the 8th seed. Haven't won a game since January 9th.
Yeah, I saw something. Hasn't Cat not won since before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that hurts. Yeah. It's rough. And adding D'Lo makes them better. The other guys, I don't think are going to see the light of day. They're kind of just more to match salaries since Andrew Wiggins gets paid so damn much. But D'Lo, known Cat for a long time, good friends. They've been trying to play together for the longest time. And I think that them playing together could be good. Like Mike was saying, you got a lot of good young guys there now. You got Malik Beasley, Juan Hernangomez, obviously Cat. So we'll see where this goes for both teams. I think it could be great for both, and I think it might go very poorly for the Warriors. But one thing to talk about with the Warriors in that trade, that first-round pick is top 3 protected. So it could be, like, I'm assuming they're going to have a top 3 pick of their own because of how poorly they've been playing this season. And then that pick is going to be pretty high, likely as well. So I'm excited to see what the Warriors do in this draft.
Yeah, I think the Warriors screwed it up with this trade. Minnesota is building a little squad over there. They got some depth now, and that's something that they've been lacking. Is it too late for them to make that push? I think so, this year at least. Even if they won a good 70% of the games from here on out, they'd still need to require a lot of those other teams losing a lot. Rockets we may see lose a little bit. I think their lack of height really screwed them up. I just think it's too late for them this year. But moving on from that whole trade, another one that kind of shook us a little bit, and Mike, it may be a little soft subject for you here. The Clippers got stronger. They made a 3-way deal with the Wizards and the Knicks. The Clippers got Marcus Morris and Isaiah Thomas, who they plan to buy out. Washington Wizards got Jerome Robinson, and the New York Knicks got Mo Harkless and a 2020 first-round pick. Mike, I'm going to start with you, man. Vent a little bit if you need to. I don't know, obviously, it's making that other LA team better. But what are your thoughts on that trade?
Trying to keep my Laker, my Laker fandom out of it.
Oh, no, bring it into it. Let's see it.
All right, well, first off, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off because they tried to jip us, all right? They tried to jip the Lakers. They wanted Kuzma, Danny Green, and future picks. Like, no, Morris is great, but he's not worth all that. So they tried to jip us. Then you're going to send him to the team down the street? Actually, not even down the street, down the hallway. I don't understand. But from a Clippers perspective, this is a great move. You got a guy who can defend. You got a tough guy. He fits in to their kind of, mentality over there. He's a dog. He can score. He can knock down the three ball. This is a great move for the Clippers. I have to admit it, even though, damn, that pissed me off. But look, it's a great move for the Clippers. Marcus Morris is really going to help them. I mean, it's just another guy who can randomly give you 30 at any night. Like, the Clippers are starting to stack up players here, and they're looking real good. I mean, I'm mad the Knicks pulled this trade off, man. I'm really mad the Knicks pulled this trade off.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I love Marcus Morris, obviously, but for the Celtics. And like you said, he's a dog. He's one of those guys that's going to be extremely emotional on the court, and he brings an attitude to the court that kind of hypes the whole team up. Let me tell you, nothing got me more hyped. I think it was 2 years ago now in the playoffs. Celtics Sixers, and Embiid started talking smack, and Morris was just sitting there doing the 3-0 thing with his hand. The Clippers got a great chemistry guy for that squad. And let me tell you, if it ends up being Clippers-Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, you are going to hate him so much. I promise that. He's one of those guys that you love him if he's on your squad, but you hate him if he's not.
Right.
And I think that's a great fit for the Clippers. Ben, what are your thoughts on this whole trade?
I think this makes the Clippers a little bit scarier. Marcus Morris is definitely a good piece. Right now, he's averaging something like 19 points on 44% shooting from deep for the Knicks. And obviously, that's the Knicks, and they have a trash lineup, and he's not going to get those same opportunities next to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. But he's going to be a good contributor for them on both sides of the ball, in my opinion. And he brings a level of grit that I think is kind of already present in Los Angeles with the Clippers. So he might be a good fit with guys like Pat Bev and Mo Hart.
They're going to be best friends.
Montrezl Harrell, I think so. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see. I think it definitely makes the Clippers scarier. And as far as Washington, I'm not really sure what they were thinking. All they got was Jerome Robinson. I guess they just wanted to get rid of IT.
Isaiah Thomas. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is. He's been through it, man. He really has been through it. It's tough. Ever since Boston, he's just been bouncing around, getting cut, getting traded and then cut. It's tough to see. I like him a lot, so hopefully he lands on his feet with a different team. And then as far as the Knicks, you get Mo Harkless. Or sorry, who do you get? Yeah, Mo Harkless.
Yeah,
Harkless.
And a first-round pick via the Clippers. So I don't think the Knicks really added much here because that first-round pick's going to be late. I can tell you that much. And then Mo Harkless is a good player, don't get me wrong. He's been starting a lot of games for the Clippers. But like the Knicks, do the Knicks really need another forward? They've got way too many.
They got a whole football team over there. They got all power forwards.
Yeah, exactly. They could play a lineup of all power forwards easily and have a sixth man power forward.
Right.
So I don't know what they were thinking here, but maybe their new president will start to make better moves. Who knows?
Yeah, Washington definitely just jumped in on this trade so they could like poke their head in and be like, "Hey guys, we were active on the deadline. We did something." I really don't get the point.
Who is Jerome Robinson, really?
He was a prospect on the Clippers, and coming out of the draft, he had a little bit of hype about him.
Yeah.
Hasn't really performed too much. Didn't really get that much time. Averaging like 2-3 points a game. Field goal percentage is terrible. I think it's in like the 30s. But I mean, he may get some time on Washington now. I think they just ruled Wall out for the year. So maybe that'll get him a little bit of minutes. But IT, let me talk about IT for a second, all right?
I love
IT. IT's coming home, guys. He's coming home.
Think so?
Home. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we talk about like, the buyout market and some of the free agents, but he's coming home, guys. He's coming home. But the next trade I wanted to talk about with you, probably the last one we'll talk about, the Pistons and the Cavs. This came later in the day. Kind of had everyone scratching their head and be like, what? Why? There's so many questions with this. The Pistons got John Henson, Brandon Knight, and a second-round pick, and the Cavs got Andre Drummond. This one had me speechless for a bit, guys. Scratching my head, kind of just asking why for both teams. Why do the Cavs need another big? Why didn't the Cavs try to unload either Kevin Love or Tristan Thompson? And why did the Pistons get rid of Drummond for a half-eaten Snickers bar? I don't get it. Mike, I'm going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this trade?
So I was thinking the same thing. Why didn't the Cavs get rid of Tristan Thompson? But I did see somewhere that they couldn't find a deal. I guess they were asking for too much. I think they wanted 2 first-round picks or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's why.
Wow.
But this is definitely the weirdest trade I saw today. Andre Drummond to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I never thought I'd see that one. As far as the Pistons, I think it's a bad move by them because I feel like Andre Drummond is worth much more than what you got. I mean, this is a guy who can give you 10 and 20 a night or 15 and 20 or 20 and 20. Any guy who can get you 20 rebounds, you should get more than John Henson. And who else did you say? John Henson.
Brandon Knight and a second-round pick.
Brandon Knight. Like, all right, and no disrespect because he probably bust my ass. But I'm just saying, you could have probably got more than that for Andre Drummond. So I don't get it for the Pistons. They just wanted to clear that cap space I got. But he doesn't seem like the guy you just drop off to get rid of cap space. You get something back for that type of player. So that, from the Detroit perspective, I don't really understand it, but whatever. Cleveland's perspective, though, I mean, they were shopping Tristan around. We'll get into it later, but he is a buyout prospect. Maybe that might still happen. You bring in a Drummond to shore up the paint. I mean, I would say he's a better rebounder than Tristan Thompson, definitely. I mean, I think it's an upgrade, and we were kind of talking about it. I was thinking about their roster. I mean, Drummond, Kevin Love as your front court. That's not bad. I mean, you got shooters all around him. Darius Garland, Colin Sexton's a better shooter this year, and he's much improved this year. Cedi Osman can knock down a shot. I mean, you might have something there. Do I see them making the playoffs or a crazy push like that? No, but I think the pieces are there. I think you can build around Drummond. You've seen what he does well in Detroit. You've got some young stars who can spread the floor, who can play the pick and roll, who can run the pick and roll. You still got Kevin Love for now, so let's see if we can make it work. So, I mean, I don't think it's a bad trade for the Cavs at all. I mean, anytime you can get a player who can be 20 and 20, like I said, you go get him. But Detroit, that's an F for me, for y'all. Like, I can't wait to get to the losers. I can't wait.
The whole thing with this trade, though, is yeah, the Cavs get Drummond. Drummond's a great player, don't get me wrong, but it's not like the Cavs are in a win-now situation. They're taking all of this money in.
Right.
That's what really confuses me. But, like, at the same time, they don't really have a choice because, I mean, sorry if anyone from Cleveland's listening. Who in their right mind wants to go to Cleveland?
Take them, lock them up.
Like, if you get what you can get, I mean, I guess. But, like, they're taking in so much money with this. Ben, what are your thoughts on this trade?
It's just bizarre. It just doesn't make sense for either team. I don't know why the Pistons want Brandon Knight and John Henson in the NBA. Second-round picks don't normally pan out at all. First things that come to memory, Draymond Green was a second-round pick. Isaiah Thomas, second-round pick. Norman Powell, second-round pick. But I don't know what they want with the second-round pick. I don't know what they want with John Henson. I don't know what they want with Brandon Knight because they're sort of Detroit in one of those weird limbo phases where they don't know if they want to win now or rebuild. And this didn't really do either because it's not like they got any prospects. They just got old guys who are considerably worse than the other slightly less old guy that they shipped off.
Exactly.
So I'm not sure what the Pistons were thinking, but they're not making a playoff push regardless. They're sitting at 10 right now, and I don't see them sneaking into 8. And then as far as the Cavs, just like both you guys said, they're not okay. They get Drummond. That's not gonna do anything for them this year. And then even next year, I just find them to be a dysfunctional organization. They're in Cleveland, like Mike said. They're not going to attract top free agents, or like Jordan said. Drummond will be there, sure. Kevin Love, if he doesn't get traded or leave, or if he doesn't get traded in the offseason. And then, you've got guys like Chetty Osman, you've got Tristan Thompson still, who can still produce at the center position. I think it's going to be weird with Tristan Thompson and Drummond both kind of there because neither of them can really shoot. So it's going to be a lot of spacing issues, especially if they ever share the court together. And then I'm not really sure what they're thinking drafting 3 point guards in 2 drafts. They've got Colin Sexton, they've got Darius Garland, and they've got Kevin Porter Jr. And Colin Sexton's playing okay, Darius Garland's playing okay. I don't think Kevin Porter Jr. is seeing that much playing time, but this trade just didn't make sense to me on any level. They both lose.
Brandon Knight just throws me back to 2K12. That was like my game. That game I played so many hours. I put so many hours into that. Brandon Knight was one of those guys, if you drafted him, that was like his rookie year. If you drafted him, he was like the Zion of the time.
Yeah, he would get
Dude
nice
turned
as
into
fuck.
it. Yeah. It's
He would
just
get nice
so
as
weird.
fuck.
It's just so weird hearing his name now. That he's like literally nothing. This whole trade just confuses me. It makes no sense to me.
I mean, Brandon Knight being on the Pistons just reminds me of that time when DeAndre Jordan ended his life. But do you guys know the dunk I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely that.
That was a good one. Yeah, this whole trade doesn't make sense to me. And like one of you guys, I think it was Ben that was mentioning, is how Detroit's just kind of in a weird situation of they don't know what they want to do with their win or rebuild. Going into the deadline, I thought that they were either going to stay put or get rid of all of them. It doesn't make sense to me why they would just get rid of one. If they really wanted to completely rebuild, you get rid of Derrick Rose, you get rid of Blake Griffin, you may even get rid of Luke Kennard. I don't get why they would just get rid of one of them. It's like the same thing. Like, what are they doing right now? What is their goal? What are they trying to accomplish? Makes no sense to me. But I'm sure you guys have been waiting for this. I know, Mike, you mentioned it. Let's talk some winners and losers of trade deadline. So for me, my winners, I got the Hawks for obviously getting Capella, Minnesota for adding D'Lo and some good bench presence, Memphis for kind of getting rid of Iguodala, who didn't want to be there, and getting somewhat of a return, and the Clippers for getting a guy that will really fit their play style and personality-wise. I think that was just a perfect fit. So we'll start with the winners. Mike, who are your winners for the deadline?
My winners for the deadline, definitely going with the Miami Heat. Like I said earlier, I like their trade. I think it makes them a better playoff team. I'm going with the Clippers. Anytime you can add, like I said, another dog and another guy who can go get you 30, you won that trade. So I'll take the Clippers. That helps them in the playoffs. And if I had to pick one more team to be a winner, I might lean the Hawks. I like what they're building around Trae Young. Like I said, they already have Jonathan Collins. They got a lot of young potential. But then you add a center who's going to be a veteran on this team, who's been to the playoffs, who can protect the basket for you, can run pick and roll with Trae Young. I think that's a nice pickup. So those are my 3 winners: Atlanta, Miami, and the Clippers.
Okay. Ben, what about you?
My winners are the Grizzlies. I think they offloaded Iguodala, who wasn't doing anything for them anyway, and picked up Justice Winslow. I think it just makes sense for them. It kind of hurts to lose Jay Crowder, but if that's what it takes to get a good young piece in Justice Winslow, which is kind of the direction they're heading anyway, in the sort of the young mindset, then I think it's a win for them ultimately. Clippers, it's a win. It's just going to make them more dangerous heading into the playoffs. They're obviously in win now mode. Marcus Morris, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Montrezl Harrell, and Patrick Beverley are all defensive monsters. So that team's going to be terrifying to face in this 7-game series. I'm not going to lie. And then one more winner. Just like you guys, I have the Timberwolves. I think they're completely rebuilding, finally. They finally got rid of Wiggins. Now they've got D'Lo, they've got Cat, and Beasley, Hernan Gomez. They've got some picks, so I think things are looking up in Minnesota. Hopefully, they can actually rebuild from the ground up and maybe make something of themselves in a few years' time.
Okay, so let's move on to the losers now. Mike, I'm gonna have you start us off. Who are your losers of the deadline?
Losers. Right now, I'm gonna say the Warriors, because we're speculating, we're hoping Andrew Wiggins could be good, but if he's shown us anything he's not gonna fit with them. So I'm gonna go the Warriors right now, especially on that contract. Pistons for giving up Andre Drummond for nothing. That makes no sense to me. And then my third loser, I couldn't really think of a team, so I got a player who lost. Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
I could be as optimistic as I can, but no one is happy about going to Cleveland. I mean, I hate to put it to you. Only LeBron James was happy about going back. Andre Drummond lost. Of all teams, there was so much speculation how the Rockets were looking at him and how contenders could use him. The Celtics and all this, to end up with Cleveland of all teams. Man, I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, Ben, what about you?
All right, I have one team and I have two players. The Rockets lost. They have no size. I think this trade honestly made them worse. Capella's a good player. And, Covington's not bad, but now they're severely lacking size. And they've got a wing guy, sure, but will he be enough to put them over the top? Not even close. So the Rockets lost. PJ Tucker lost because now he's going to have to guard 7-footers on a nightly basis, which is going to take a toll on him. He's in his 30s, too, so it's not like he's a young guy. He can just has that endurance. And then, Andre Drummond lost. He was, first of all, heartbroken that he got traded. Apparently, he felt blindsided by it. And instead of going to a team like the Celtics, who could use some size, or Rockets, who now could use some size, anything like that, any sort of contender where he could contribute to a winning team, unlike the Pistons, who he's been losing with for years, he's now in Cleveland with the Cavs, where he's likely going to lose with for as long as he's there. So, sucks to be Drummond right now. Feel bad for the guy.
Tough situation. But for me, my losers, I also had the Rockets. I think one of you guys said them. They're kind of screwed with the size now. I really don't understand that. They're going to have PJ Tucker and other centers on other teams are going to be thinking they're guarding IT. It just doesn't make sense. The Golden State Warriors are another big loser. Regardless of if Wiggins pays off or not, they're down to 9 people on their roster now. That's not good. Injuries are prone to happen. I'm pretty sure they get fined if they go under 14 people for a certain amount of time. I could be wrong with that. I also have the Knicks. Same reason. They're down to 8 or 9 people on their roster as well. And I think they could have gotten more from Marcus Morris. And I also have the Celtics for not making a move whatsoever. I think we were one piece away from contending deeper into the playoffs. And I don't think it's height. I don't think height's the problem. Tice has been performing really, really well. If you look at his stats, even Cantor, they're up there. Cantor's leading the league in rebounds or rebound percentage, something like that right now. Tice has been performing really well in his role. I don't think height is necessarily a problem. I think we really could have used a shooter off the bench, and I really think Davis Bertans would have done that for us. But at the end of the day, the Wizards were asking for way, way too much. And the fact that the Celtics have, I think, 3 first-round picks going into this year's draft is too much. We had 4 last year, and 3 of them don't play. It just doesn't make sense. I don't really know. It's kind of like the same thing with Detroit. Like, what are they trying to do right now? Win now or win later? It's kind of confusing to me. Danny Ainge definitely lost some points in this me and Ben's ongoing Danny versus Masai debate.
I saw on Twitter you were frustrated with them. I was liking all those tweets. I was like, yeah,
I was very frustrated, man. That's the one thing Danny Ainge lacks every single year. He never really makes a move on deadline day. He just doesn't do it. Breaks my heart every single year. I always get my hopes up. I'm always reading these rumors on Twitter every year. Breaks my heart. Doesn't do a thing. But yeah, this leads us right into our next thing. The buyout market / free agents. That usually happens after the deadline day. People will cut players to make the salary cap work. They'll sign some people to fill in those roster spaces to make sure they're back up to 13, 14 players. There are some big names in the mix. I'm not really just going to list them all off just because there's too many. But I kind of want to go around and see who you guys think are some possible people that will enter the buyout market and where you think they'd have a good fit with. And Mike, I'll start with you.
Buyout market wise, it's Dion Waiters. Someone needs a shooter, another guy who can facilitate the ball, maybe. That's a nice little buyout. Tristan Thompson, we talked about him. A contender could use him, a guy who can rebound, especially offensive rebound, score around the rim. Maybe the Celtics, like you were saying, if you're not satisfied with your height, people like that. Free agency now, Darren Collison, that's a big one, especially for my squad, the Lakers. If a team needs someone, a vet, guy who shot, I think, like 40% from three-point range, a guy who could play defense. He gave up $30 million to retire, so obviously his efforts and his play was getting acknowledged with how much he was set to make. So, I think Darren Collison's a big piece for the Lakers. And even the Clippers still, they waived Isaiah Thomas. They were still looking for a point guard. So they're still in the running for that. I saw today that J.R. Smith might be getting a workout. For anyone who needs a 3-and-D guy, he might be getting a workout with the Lakers here soon. Other than that, I think we talked about Evan Turner. He's a decent player. He's been in the playoffs a couple times. He's a play initiator. He's kind of like a point forward guy. So, there's some guys. It's not a lot, really, in the buyout market that I'm really would be jumping at. But Tyler Johnson, the entire Knicks team, Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, Elfrid Payton. They have a lot of power. They have first off, they have 6 power forwards. I don't know why, but they do. But they have plenty of players. So, the market's not crazy good, but there's some decent role players that I think some contending teams could go after, and it might help them solidify their rosters.
So one of the names you brought up was J.R. Smith. I did see on Bleacher Report that he does have a workout with the Lakers, as he mentioned. What were your initial thoughts on hearing that, just as a Lakers fan?
Not mad at it. Due diligence. We could always use another shooter. He's proven he can defend. He's proven he can play series. Obviously everybody talks about his blunder in Game 1 of the Finals 2 years ago. But, outside of that, when he got to playing with LeBron, we saw a different J.R. Smith. That's how he got paid. He really played maturely. So I really don't have no problem with it. He wouldn't be expensive, and he would come in and do what every team always needs, shoot the ball. So I have no problem with it.
Fair. Ben, what about you? What are your thoughts for the buyout market and kind of the free agency, and what are some moves you could possibly see happening?
I think J.R. Smith should be picked up by someone, regardless of whether it's the Lakers or not. He's still a good player. He's not super old either. If you look at Jamal Crawford, he's nearing his 40s, and it would be nice to see Jamal Crawford land somewhere, but I'm not sure he will. But J.R. Smith, he can still pop off for 5-6 threes a night. That's the thing with Jerry. He's a very streaky shooter. So he's either ice cold or he's burning hot. And if you get him on a hot night, then he's a force for your team because he can hit all sorts of contested threes. He used to fly back in the day too with the Nuggets and the Knicks. Play way above the rim. As far as the buyout market, and also, Darren Collison is only, I think, 32, 33, and he contributed to a playoff contender in the Pacers last season as their starting point guard for a lot of that year. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up by someone if he does decide to fully come back. And then on the buyout market, Tristan Thompson, sure. Isaiah Thomas, I think it would be wise to pick him up. And Tyler Johnson was a great young piece for the Heat for a long time, and he was a contributor there. And they shipped him off to the Suns, and I kind of stopped hearing about him. So hopefully he can go somewhere else, revive his career. He's a good scorer at that, shooting guard position. So we'll see what happens with him. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked up by someone, impresses at a workout or something like that, and he gets picked up by a contender.
And I don't know what you said about Tyler Johnson. Like, that's so true. I feel like anyone that goes to the Suns, like 9% of the people that go there, we kind of just stop hearing about, or like forget about them. Like the other day, I completely forgot DeAndre Ayton existed, which is really bad.
Hey, I haven't. Fantasy, he cooking.
But yeah, it's just sad. I mean, I feel bad for Devin Booker. I feel like he's trapped there. But we'll see. Anyway, yeah, back to buyout market and free agents. Yeah, some of the big names on the free agency, obviously you guys mentioned Darren Collinson, J.R. Smith, but there's also like Kenneth Faried, Jamal Crawford. I'm stunned that Jamal Crawford has been a free agent this year. Personally, and I'm going to bring it back to my Celtics because that's what I do, I would love to see the Celtics go after Jamal Crawford, Isaiah Thomas, or Tristan Thompson, with the latter two being on the buyout market. I think all three of those guys could fill a role. The problem with the Celtics right now is we do have a full roster, so to make that happen, we'd have to cut someone. And Danny Ainge is obsessed with his young talent, which I don't know if he would do. But I saw this debate on Twitter, and I just want to tell you guys so you can understand my pain. People are actually debating if the Celtics should cut Vincent Poirier for Tristan Thompson.
Vincent Poirier.
I know he played for the French national team, and I know he's a young guy.
He's like 26, I think.
There you go. Honestly, Tristan Thompson is still contributing for the Cavs, but that's.
I would say Tristan's more proven. I mean,
give me Tristan Thompson. Why was that even an argument?
Yeah, Tristan's more proven. Like, yeah. Nothing against Vincent Poirier, but Tristan Thompson, he's got a chip. He can guard out on the perimeter on pick and roll. Yeah, go ahead, get him.
He's a good vet presence too.
He can still give you a solid 15 and 10. He's done with the Kardashian curse, it seems.
Yeah.
Despite his best efforts, he's still in her comment section as of like a couple weeks ago, which is mind-boggling to me.
Hey, players gonna play, dog. Hey.
Yeah, for real.
Oh man.
Brampton, Ontario, baby. That's where Tristan Thompson's from.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in a documentary about Vince Carter, I think. But yeah, another buyout, like I said, Isaiah Thomas, time to come home. Time to come home. Bring him home. He'd be a good offensive threat off the bench, I think. I think he'd come in with a redefined attitude and kind of accepting that bench role. I think he'd get along with the players. Obviously, I know there's a lot of love and a lot of respect, even with the guys that didn't even play with him. But I guarantee you, like, he comes there, it'll be like nothing ever changed. Obviously, like, not the same stats, but like with the fans and the chemistry and all that, I think he'd be a really good fit. I just want to see Isaiah Thomas back in Boston. I would love to see that.
You already got him.
I want him back.
Edwards. That's
just because they're short doesn't mean they're the same people. Okay. No, but yeah, I was kind of surprised Carson Edwards wasn't traded. I thought that was going to happen because that dude wants the ball, and I just don't think he's going to get the time in Boston. Yeah. No, but it'd be funny if IT came back, him and Tremont Waters. They'd be battling for who's the shortest.
Wow.
You got some small people, man.
Honestly, bro, if Danny Ainge wants IT to come back, I feel like he has to apologize profusely for that trade because it really didn't work out for you guys, and it kind of killed IT's career. So I don't know where they stand as far as like their relationship, but I know IT definitely wasn't like. He felt like he put forward a really good season, and he wanted to stay in Boston. So,
okay, you triggered this. So rant incoming.
Okay.
Isaiah Thomas. Let me start with this. The dude gave everything for this city. Okay, and I've never seen Boston. And obviously, I'm young. I'm 22, so like I'm not counting like the 70s, the 80s. I've never seen Boston give so much respect to one person. Just the things IT did for this city, and he didn't even win a ring. The fact that, when his sister passed away, he was there on the court the very next day playing. It was just the emotion he brought, the attitude and all that. It was kind of unparalleled and something I had never seen before. Obviously, we did end up trading him in that package for Kyrie. The dude was injured. He was going to have surgery. And he was also asking for us to back up the Brinks truck, which I don't think we were going to give him regardless. And then, obviously, he had the surgery. It sat out a long time, came back, and just wasn't the same player. Obviously, he aged as well. Even if he was on Boston, I think it would have been the same. I don't think the outcome would be any different. As for the bad blood, there was definitely bad blood. We've seen time and time again players on Twitter saying, "Oh, the NBA is a business." I think Drummond even said that today. The NBA is just a business. But I guarantee you, if the Celtics went back to IT would come back. Because I think the IT, this is his home. I think Boston's his home. But yeah, end of rant. Moving on from all the trades and the free agents, kind of end the episode out. We've been talking about doing this for a while now, so we're actually just going to start and do it. We're going to do a mystery player debate. So I'm going to come with 2 players every week, kind of give stats. If guys have any questions, I'll let them ask it. And they'll kind of debate which player is better, and if they want to, they can guess who the players are as well. So yeah, we'll start from there. Player A, player B. Player A plays 29.8 minutes a game, averaging 19.4 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 0.6 steals, 3 turnovers, shooting 41% from the field, 35% from deep, with a PER of 17.3. Player B plays 35.1 minutes, and he's getting 19.4 points, 4.7 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 1.7 steals, 3 turnovers, with 43.9% shooting, 34.6% from deep, with a PER of 16.7. So before I have you guys debate, does anyone have any guess on who these players could be? I'm going to cover my face because I have a terrible poker face.
Oof.
First question: is either one of these players currently a Celtic?
No.
Okay.
I was trying
okay,
to make one of the
shocking.
I was trying to make one of the guys there a Celtic, but that's when I was telling you when I was like finding these stats.
Mhm.
I thought they were going to be a lot closer and they weren't. So I had to go a different route.
Okay. I have no clue who they are. Do you know, Ben? I don't know.
Who did you think if it was a Celtic? I'm curious.
Well, it was just a strange feeling. Like, bro, these stats are very similar. I couldn't remember what Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum stats
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
But then when I looked at the minutes, I was like, they play around the same amount of minutes. And I remember Jason Tatum, something was lower. I don't know. But those were the first 2 that came to mind off rip.
Okay. No Celtics here.
No, I
That
would
would've
have
been too
shot. I would have shot either Tatum or Brown for one of these slots, but I'm pretty sure they're both averaging in the 20s as far
Yeah.
as points.
Mm.
So that's why I didn't go that direction. Ooh. Can
Well,
we get some hints like conference or
yeah.
whatever?
Next question I need to know is, what's the positions of both players?
Point guard / shooting guard.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay,
I think I know who player B is.
I think I got my choice.
Is player
Of
B
who-
Kyle Lowry?
No.
I was real confident about that one.
I'm
Let
going
me look-
player B though.
You think player B is better?
Well, if I had to pick between these 2 and this is all I saw in front of me, I'd pick player B.
Okay.
Why? Nothing crazy. It's just I'm looking at their stats are pretty much the same, but he averages close to 2 steals a game. Wait a minute. Close to 2 steals a game, that'd be like in the top. Who is that? Is that freaking... It's not Chris Dunn.
I have to cover my face because I have a terrible poker face.
I was just looking at like the top steals. 1.7 would be up there.
Jordan, just because you smile doesn't mean we're automatically going to figure out who either of these players are. Oh, man.
I'll just smile the entire time so you can't figure it out.
Okay. I'm going to look up Kyle Lowry's stats right now. I know it's not him. I just want to see how similar they are.
Yeah. Like, what are your thought process right now? Obviously, points are identical. Player B has a little bit more rebounds, a little bit more assists, a little bit more steals, same amount of turnovers.
1.7. Who could average that many steals and is a point guard / is it Drew Holiday?
Is who Drew Holiday?
Player B. Because he seems like he would average. Is he averaging 35 minutes? This seemed like some Drew Holiday stats.
So you picked player B, right?
Player B is what I'm going with.
I'm gonna pick player A before you say anything else, just because he's doing it more efficiently. So he's leaving more for his other teammates because he's doing it in just about
Less minutes.
6 less minutes, or I guess like 5 and a bit less minutes. So yeah, no, he's just doing it more efficiently. Obviously the steals aren't there, and he's shooting a bit worse from the field, but he's leaving more in the air for his, I'm assuming, star teammates to take advantage of. So I'm going to take player A. It's close, though.
What's your guess on who player A is?
Damn. I don't know. I don't even have a guess. Can you, what conference do they play in?
The West.
The West. Is one of them, what is Ja Morant averaging?
Point guard, shooting guard? Man.
Is it Ja Morant? What's he averaging? No, he's not averaging 19, though.
He might be.
19? He might be, though.
I
don't know.
In
Spill
the
the
West,
beans.
point guard, shooting guard. Yeah, I don't have any guesses.
Spill
De'Aaron
the
Fox.
beans.
I don't know.
Okay, so Ben said player A, Mike said player B. I'm not going to say what players they are yet because I want to see who you guys think is better, but the two players are Drew Holiday and Lou Williams.
Okay. All right.
So knowing that, who do you pick, Lou Williams or Drew Holiday? Who do you like better? Mike's gears are turning. He's like,
give me Drew, man. Give me Drew. Drew will lock up. Lou ain't locking up.
Ben, what about you?
Lou can't play defense for his life, first of all. As far as that. But he's a lot more valuable off the bench to a much better team than Drew Holiday is to a considerably worse team. I don't know. This is what I hate about this. I'm going to stick with Lou Will, but Drew Holiday, just from a purely defensive standpoint, is definitely the way to go. And he has more intangibles than Lou Will, but Lou Will is scoring almost 20 points and dishing out 6 assists per game off the bench. And obviously averaging starter minutes, 30 minutes per game. Come on, but he's doing it, I feel, much more efficiently than Lou Will, than Drew Holiday. And he's leaving more he's sacrificing stats, really, to Kawhi, Paul George. So I'll take Lou Will, but it's tough. It's definitely tight.
Yeah, so, you guys both picked the same player that you went with originally. So player A, Lou Will. Player B, Drew Holiday. And you both stuck with that, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, originally, I was trying to get Marcus Smart in there some way.
Oh, my God. You should have put his stats and Lonzo Ball stats.
Oh, don't do that to me.
That would have been it right there.
Don't do that to me. He's more valuable than that. Oh, no. You just compared Smart to Lonzo.
They get the same stat lines.
Oh, deep breath, Jordan. Deep breath.
Oh. Man. Player B Drew Holiday's stats are so similar to Kyle Lowry's. That's why I thought it.
Yeah, that was a good guess. That was a good guess.
Lowry's got 19.7 points per game, 32 minutes, 41.6% from the field, 35% from deep, 1.2 steals.
And when you said that, I instantly thought of Van Vliet. I was like, maybe it could be Van Vliet.
Yeah.
He's been doing good this year, too.
He's not. I don't think he's touching 19 points per game, though.
He's not at 19? Okay.
Nah. 4.6 rebounds, Kyle Lowry, and 7.3 assists. Man, I feel like I was right there with that one.
Yeah,
this one was tough. They were pretty similar aside from the minutes.
The steals is what stuck out. I was like, okay, it's got to be somebody.
That's a lot of steals, yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of steals.
Yeah, but that's gonna do it for that mystery debate. We'll have to do those more often. Those are pretty fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's hard finding people to compare. I was going through it. I was like, wow, I was so wrong with how I thought all these people played. Wow. But yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. My name is Jordan Daly. With me this week, I had Mike White and Ben Okazawa, and we will see you guys next week.